which is what costs the most, right? Because that's going to be the biggest break. That's what's going to destroy your boat. The fact that you don't use it, right?
Yeah.
When you don't use a boat, that's just worse. It's just the worst thing you could do. It's not use it.
Yeah.
So when people ask me, hey, Alfred, what's the best boat? I say, the one you're going to use.
Yeah.
If you're not going to use it, don't get a 50-foot boat or a 45-foot boat.
Or whatever. Yeah, don't get a 10-foot boat. If you're not going to use it.
You're going to get the boat. Like I know my reality. My wife does not like the water. Right?
Oh, no.
No, she doesn't like it.
Really?
Yeah, she's scared of it.
Oh, man.
So I'm not going to get a boat for the family if she doesn't want to be out on there and the kids are just going to want to just like go and participate. Like it's more of like, hey, what's going to be suitable enough for when they want to come and what I'm going to use the most for me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be that guy that's going to go ahead and spend X amount of money to say, I have a bigger whatever than you and look at me. You know? For what? I've seen scenarios like that all the time where people are like, you know, they have this boat and they're like, I don't have it anymore. What do you have now? Oh, I got this little thing. Great. That's smart.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're using.
Yep. Yeah.
And I've done a series on my channel. And I started with a series called the Dinghy Series. And the Dinghy Series is about showing that it doesn't take much to be out on the water, to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And those moments that my kids remember are on sometimes smaller boats where we've been able to have more communication because they're close enough to talk to you. You know, you get into a big boat, they're over there, you're over here. There's no connection.
Yeah. You
want to be able to have a connection with your kid or the person you care about.
Yeah, because it's about making that memory.
It's about that.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you, somebody's going to, you will not remember the fish you caught unless it's a monster fish.
Mm-hmm.
Or they won't remember. You know, say, well, you remember your first fish? And they're like, no, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't.
And then they're going to say, I remember this moment. And you're going to be like, wow, that's such a powerful moment in their mind that I didn't even remember.
Mm-hmm.
But in their mind, it was it. That was the one.
Yeah, that was it.
So that's the power of boating for me. I'm worried. I'll be honest with you. I'm worried about boating, and my strategy always when I've done my YouTube channel was to encapsulate the boating world into not. If I can't catch you here, I'm going to catch you there. I'm going to catch you at the Chit Show. If I can't catch you on the Chit Show, I'm going to get you at the Tug Series. If I can't see you at the Tug Series, I'll catch you at the boat ramps.
Yeah.
So if I can't catch you at the boat ramps, I'll get you
at the boat
fishing, boat show, whatever. The idea was always to just go ahead and be like, who's this guy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, this is interesting content, this and that. But it's all about boating. And what I'm worried about and what I think a lot of the industry fails to realize is that we're going to lose market share if we don't tap into different people in the market and younger people that are not as excited as we were because of what we learned coming up. And you're going to see these boat shows are going to get really uncomfortable for people because their sales are going to come down, and then they're going to start screaming and wondering what this and that. And what happens is they've abandoned building that base.
Yeah.
That base of people that we're going to keep you in these tough times, which are those moments that we're living now, because they were chasing the big money. Now the big money doesn't want you. It doesn't want to spend it.
Yeah.
So now you got to either pivot to the small guy that wants to come in, but you haven't priced out.
I got there's two things I want to segue off of that because there's two different topics. First one, I want to support that because I know even like mechanics, right? Like boat mechanics. If you ask, 10 years ago, if you ask any boat mechanic, why are you a boat mechanic? And that's because I like the water. I like the boats.
Yeah.
That's why I do this.
Yeah.
Now I just want to work on an engine. They don't have any interest. Like I know mechanics that have no interest in
they
boating,
even get
going on the water. None of that. Yeah, it's cool for the test drive. That's it. Like want nothing to do with the water. So it's interesting. And I do see that in some of the younger techs for that exact reason. Like they have no interest in going on the water. But then at the same time, like, talking about the boat show, bringing it back to that, can someone really get a better deal buying a boat at a boat show? Or like, what's that situation look like? Like, are boat shows really worth it? Like, you go to the boat show, like, can you really get a better deal than just going to a regular dealer any day of the week?
Yes. Okay, but the most important thing at a boat show is leverage, right? You got to have leverage, and you got to know where you have leverage, right? So COVID was an anomaly. Obviously, everybody wanted to jump in and get a boat and all that stuff. And, I got the boat, you don't have a boat, whatever,
Yeah.
But you can get good deals, right? The problem with what the consumer doesn't see is that business is business and free markets work, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm not selling a lot of boats, then I'm going to actually cut back on labor that helps me make these boats because I don't see the demand that's coming for these boats. So I got to justify the expenses and I got to cut down because I don't know what my future is going to be. But then that also puts you at a restricted scenario as a buyer because now there's not that many boats that this particular boat manufacturer has available that you want.
Right.
And you know what we don't get all the time? And we never get it back once we lose it? Our time. Right? And sometimes the older we get, the less time we have. And people factor that into their decision.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Most people that buy boats are like, today. Today, I want a boat today. Like, I'm going to give you money today. I want the boat.
I want that boat.
Yeah. I don't want to wait 6 months.
And that's the reason. Okay, and that's the thing. So now the scenario is the following. Like, hey, because like I had a conversation with someone today, and they're like, yeah, but I'm not really from this area, so that's why I'm not going to go to the show in Miami. But we're not going to be there this year. But and I said, well, what if the actual buyer that lives in your area comes down to the Miami show and wants the boat there because they don't want to risk not having the supply available for by the time that the boat show comes up to Palm Beach, and that's a risk that they got to take, and those risks are determined based on the financials of how the business needs to structure. It's no surprise that the last couple quarters in the boating world has been dire or bad, right? It's been tough. But that doesn't necessarily mean people don't want boats.
Right.
They want boats.
There's just no money.
Well,
you're battling 22% inflation and the rest of everything else. Right. So it's like,
well, you want the boat that you can be okay having at the time.
Right.
That scenario is happening in the world, right?
And every time they look at a boat, it's outside of what they got.
That's right. So, but that also puts you in a scenario where if you have leverage and you say, hey, you have this boat, you want to sell this boat, I want to buy this boat, why don't we get to a point where it makes sense for you and it makes sense for me? Maybe that manufacturer doesn't make those margins that he was making before.
Right.
But he's going to keep his people working to get to the point that he has enough time to build and keep the core people who make him successful.
Which keep the boats in production.
That's right. All of a sudden, what's going to cost you more? Now you got to retrain everybody because you cut back on that force, right? You keep, obviously, the best. And if you're a worker and you're listening, work as hard as you can because you're the hardest to replace. So the ones that work the best are the ones that are last to leave in most cases.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Some people will argue that, and they're going to think they all think they're the best. But the people that are leading the actual manufacturing process are going to say, this guy is super valuable in this. You can be the best worker, but you're a shitty partner when it comes to working with other people. So you're more of a detriment to the team than you are good as a worker. So a good leader will factor that in and say, hey, listen, I like you. You're a fantastic worker, but you spoil these 10 apples over here every time you come in. And it's always a problem for me. So I don't care how good you are. So those are the things that
So it's negotiation. You're saying it's negotiation. Go in there and start negotiating.
Yes. And see the comparable boats at the shows. Hey, I'm playing this guy over here. I'm playing this guy over here.
Okay.
What can you do with me? Look, this is where I'm at right here. This boat is very similar to yours. I really like your boat.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to spend $50,000 more for this same size boat because you want to brand it like this.
Yeah.
At some point, if he's too high and he loses a lot of sales to that other guy, like the Suzuki scenario,
Yep.
they're going to pivot. they're going to say we're doing something not right. And they're going to pivot. Why? Because what's happening is they're getting weaker, and their competitor that was weak now is stronger. So think about it.
Because they're moving inventory.
That's right. And they're keeping people busy.
Yep.
And their team is happy. And all of a sudden, the lights are still on. And guess what? People start little by little. Oh, this company got bought out by this big guy. And all of a sudden now you got big conglomerates buying out these small manufacturers. And now the boat that had the name and the identity and the
prestige.
Yeah, the prestige, it's really not there anymore. It lost when it was purchased if it's not taken care of. Some manufacturers sell off and they keep that.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you work hard to keep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A good name is,
The name is everything.
Yeah.
Right? Think about it. People just buy the same boats because of the name. They're like, hey, when I was in my 20s, I always wanted to have this boat. And now I'm 55 and I'm getting later in my life and I can afford it. And that's the boat I want. And it's like, it might be the worst boat at the moment. Right?
Yeah.
But that's the one they want.
Yeah. You see that a lot with there's Contenders, Boston Whaler, Grady White, like all those, those brands.
Which are all fantastic boats.
They're all fantastic boats, but that's why, because they're a fantastic boat, you have the same guy from the time he was 30 bought one, and now he's 55, and now he's you got 40 years of boats. Yeah. Chris Craft,
absolutely, and you see that matters to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. But since I've walked these facilities and I've seen how they build these boats, and I would encourage people to watch some of my walking tours at the manufacturing plant. So you can see differences, and I always like to see the leadership, the people who are leading.
Yeah.
Because when you buy a boat, you're not just buying, in most cases, just the boat. You're buying into the family of that boat, like
that brand.
Hey, are these people going to call when I'm stuck somewhere far from home, and I have a really important question? Are they going to show up, or are they going to answer the phone?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I get these people? So that matters, right? So for me, that is extremely important, how you build relationships. I always tell people you are your own currency, right? Because when you can do things as an individual because people want to help you and they want to be on your side, there's nobody that's going to stop you. Because anybody that gets in your way, they're going to be like, hey, we got to help Alfred. We got to help Alfred. Alfred is struggling right now, and they're just never going to, because you have so much currency with certain individuals because of the rapport that you've helped. When I first started doing all these walking tours, I don't get much money doing the boat shows. I don't make that we don't make a lot of money.
For how much I spend in the hotel rooms,
that's right. But the value that it creates for the people that can't make it to the show is big. Right? For that guy who says, hey, listen, I'm in the hospital right now. I really appreciate you giving me this moment to go to this show. Yeah. And I'm right now fighting for my life.
Right.
Which are emails that we've seen and I've seen, and things like that happen. So to me, those are the driving forces that make you say, you know what, this is why I do this. As much as sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do that. Because sometimes, even as a creator, you'll feel underappreciated. And you're like,
yeah, is it worth my time? Should I make this video? Should I not make it?
Yeah. I mean, I can do other videos that I know will make much more money.
Yeah.
And I'll do less time. But in the end, for me, the way I see it is my end game is, did I make boating better while I was in it? Right? Did I create an atmosphere that got it bigger to help it grow past what it is right now? Because I believe that if you have a bigger pie, it's going to be better than a small pie.
Yeah.
That's why my goal is to increase the pie. Well, sometimes when I speak Spanish in the chit show and I do this and that, like there's a big Hispanic audience.
Yeah.
And I'll say it. I've emailed and sent messages to all manufacturers, and I'll say, hey, you need to be conscious about your marketing that you're presenting, because you might not think that you're making someone feel alienated, but they might. They might not make a decision on your brand because they don't feel that they're included in that brand. And that's a very powerful thing. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, this guy's taking off and this brand is taking off. and I'm not taking off, what's going on? Because behind the scenes, there's people talking.
Yeah.
Whether they're dealers, you know, like the funny thing is that everybody talks.
Yeah, especially at a boat show, because a boat show, like if you go to all these boat shows, you see a lot of the same people, you know, as far as the vendors and all that.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of the same people.
It's the same circle.
It's like, let's say you're the first time, you know, attendee, first time you ever been to a boat show. What would you say that someone should like prioritize? You know, is there like, should they check out like, hey there, sorry to take you away from the video, but real quick, did you know that on average a boat owner will spend between $1,000 and $5,000 a year just on servicing their engine? And you could actually pocket and save a lot of that money if you would just do the service yourself. It might seem like a daunting task, but I guarantee you virtually everyone can do it with our guidance and the Boaters program. This is just one skill that you could learn inside the program, because we have hundreds of other videos teaching you all kinds of boating skills, as well as a weekly live stream where we have questions and answers with me, as well as a chat feature where you can send videos and pictures, ask all kinds of questions, or look for some advice or some guidance on a project that you're doing on your boat. You can join the program by hitting the first link in the description, clicking join, or visiting bornagainboating.com. Now back to the video.